Islam, what's up? Shalom Ishkal. Assalamu alaikum. Peace to the gods. Peace to the goddess. I know all my rights. I reserve my rights without recourse. All right, part 2. We're going to get into this a little more. Tracing your lineage. Tracing your ancestry through the bloodline. All right, using the technology of DNA. All right, first thing to remember is these technologies were developed by your ancestors. All right. All right. Just reading about the sample that I submitted, and these are the results, all right? MDLP K16 modern admixture proportions. The K16 model of admixture K16 focuses primarily on 16 worldwide basic distinct components of modern human ancestry, which have been discovered and detailed in Hayek et al. 2014, Lazaridis et al. 2016. These components were empirically learned in admixture software from a low frequencies of learning merged dataset of human populations, which in their turn had been converted into synthetic groups of individuals, with each of them representing one of 16 ancestral populations. Then the rest of dataset was projected onto those ancestral populations with this software. All right. These 16 components are briefly described below as follows. All right, so first, Amerindian, a component which is modal, an example, has a peak in various Native American groups of North and South America, as well as in ancient DNA of Native Americans, Clovis, Kennewick man. All right, I want to look up those. Let's see who's Clovis, who's Kennewick man. Grandpa Clovis, the first king of the Franks to unite the Frankish tribes under one ruler. Louis. Oh, okay. Let's look up. It says Clovis culture, the Paleo-Indian culture of North America that appears in the archaeological record 13,500 years ago. So we've been here longer than the albinos have been in existence. Therefore, there's no claim that an albino can make anywhere on this land without permission. All right, Kennewick, K-E-N-N-E. Kennewick man is the name generally given to the skeletal remainings of a prehistoric Paleo-American man found on a bank of the Columbia River in Kennewick, Washington, United States on July 28, 1996. It is one of the most complete ancient skeletons ever found. Radiocarbon tests on bones have shown it to date from 8.9 thousand to 9,000 calibrated years before present. It was not until 2013 that ancient DNA analysis techniques had improved enough to shed light on the remains. In June 2015, it was announced that Kennewick Man had most genetic similarity among living peoples to North America, including those in the Columbia River where the skeleton was found. The discovery led to considerable controversy for more than a decade. The Umatilla people, a Sahaptin-speaking Native American tribe, and other tribes demanded the remains returned for reburial under the Federal Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. The law was designed to return human remains and cultural objects which had long been unlawfully obtained or taken from them. In this case, the archaeologists who studied the bones, James Chatters and Douglas Owsley, with the Smithsonian Institute, both asserted that the bones were only distantly related to today's Native Americans, which is a lie. They also said the remains had features that more closely resembled Polynesian or Southeast Asian peoples, a finding that would exempt the bones from ʻārkēʻäləjē. So we're beginning to see how deep this lawlessness of these people extend. Kennewick Man became the subject of a controversial 9-year court case between the United States Army Corps of Engineers, scientists, and Native American tribes who claimed ownership of the remains. Under ʻārkēʻäləjē, the tribes had the right to rebury the man and to refuse scientific study of the man they referred to as the Ancient One. All right. So, I appoint the U.S. Attorney, Fiduciary Trustee to resolve this matter and return these remains to their owners. Or be drafted for performance. All right, let's go back. Ancestor, an archaic component detected in modern African pygmy populations, such as Mbutus and Biaka and Caucasian hunter-gatherers. All right, I want to look first. We're going to look up pygmy. In anthropology, pygmy peoples are ethnic groups whose average height is unusually short. The term pygmyism is used to describe the phenotype of endemic short stature, dwarfism, blah, blah, blah. The term is primarily associated with the African pygmies, the hunter-gatherers of the Congo Basin, comprising the Bambinga, Bambutu, and Batwa. The term pygmoid is a traditional morphological racial category for the Central African pygmies, considered a subgroup of the Negroid category. The term Asiatic pygmies has been used of the Negroid populations of Southeast Asia and Australia. The Taran people of Myanmar are an exceptional case of pygmy population of East Asia. The term pygmy, as used to refer to Greek terminology, Greek this, Greek that, many prefer to be identified by their ethnicity, such as the Aka, Binga, Baka, and Butu, and Twa. The term Bayaka, the plural form of the Akayaka, is sometimes used in the Central African Republic to refer to all local pygmies. Likewise, the Congo word Bambinga is used in Congo, a family from Baaka pygmy village. Various theories have been proposed to explain the short stature of pygmies. Some studies suggest that it could be related to adaptation to low ultraviolet light, blah, blah, blah. Origins. A commonly held belief is that African pygmies are the direct descendants of late Stone Age hunter-gatherer peoples of the Central African rainforest, who were partially absorbed or displaced by later immigration or agricultural peoples, as adopted their Central Sudanic, Ubangian, and Bantu languages. This view has no archaeological support. The African pygmies are particularly known for their usually vocal music, usually characterized by dense contrapunto communal improvisation. Sima Aram says the level of polyphonic complexity of pygmy music was reached in Europe in the 14th century, yet pygmy culture is unwritten and ancient. Music permeates daily life, and there are songs for entertainment as well as specific events and activities. The pygmy population was a target of the ʻanTHrəːpäləjē during the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Of the 30,000 pygmies in Rwanda, an estimated 10,000 were killed and another 10,000 were displaced. They have been described as forgotten victims of genocide. From the end of 2002 to 2003, around 60,000 pygmy civilians and 10,000 combatants were killed in an extermination campaign known as ɛärkēʻäləjē during the Second Congo War. Human rights activists have made demands for the massacre to be recognized as genocide. In the Republic of Congo, where pygmies make up 2% of the population, many pygmies live as slaves to Bantu masters. The nation is deeply stratified between these two major ethnic groups. The pygmy slaves belong to the Bantu masters from birth in a relationship that the Bantus call a time-honored tradition, even though the pygmies are responsible for much of the hunting, fishing, and manual labor in jungle villages. Pygmy and Bantus alike say that pygmies are often paid at the master's whims in cigarettes, used clothing, or simply not paid at all. As a result of pressure from United Nations Children's Fund, International Emergency Fund, and human rights activists, in 2009, a law that would grant special protections to the pygmy people was awaiting a vote by the Congo Parliament. According to reports made in 2013, this law was never passed. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, during the Ituri conflict, Ugandan-backed rebel groups were accused of the UN of enslaving Mbutus to prospect for minerals and forage for forest food, with those returning empty-handed being killed and eaten. It seems I will be visiting the Congo soon. Next, Caucasian. So actually, Mbutus and Bantus are the same people according to this legend. Let's go here and look at Caucasian. Caucasian, or according to the contemporary Caucazoids orthography, Khoisan is a catch-all term for the non-Bantu indigenous peoples of southern Africa, Zulu, combining the Khoisan and the San or Sokoyan, Bosman, Bushman, Saki, Niling language. Caucasian specifically were formerly known as Hottentots, which was a derogatory term from Dutch. I'm just really going over brief descriptions. That this information is really not to be taken as facts, This is Wikipedia. But anyways, These Coheki nations and some are grouped under the single term Khoisan as representing the indigenous substrate population of southern Africa, meaning the first of the land. Prior to the hypothecated Bantu expansion, many Khoisan peoples are the direct descendants of very early dispersal of anatomically modern humans to southern Africa before 150,000 years ago. Okay, next, steppe, a component which was sourced from ancient genome of European Bronze Age pastoralists. Let's look this up. Look at our ancestors from the Bronze Age. Steppe societies is a collective name for the Bronze Age, 3500 to 1200 BC, nomadic and semi-nomadic people of the central Eurasian steppes. Mobile pastoralist groups have lived and herded in Western and Central Asia for at least 5,000 years, raising horses, cattle, sheep, goats, and yaks. Nomadic herders left a strong genetic mark on Europeans and Asians. All right, let's go back. All right. So this shows that we were also in Europe and Asia before the inhabitants of the land currently ever existed on the planet. All right. Indian, a component of ancestry harbored by populations of Indian subcontinent. Arctic, a component displayed in genomes of Eskimo Inuits from Greenland and shared with Siberian Chukchis, Koyaks. Okay. So we definitely know that the first Eskimos look like myself. Of course, Google is involved in genocide and birthright theft, so they will tell you that they look like this. And their algorithm will filter out the truth. Right. From Greenland with Siberian, let's look up these. Koyaks are an indigenous people of the Russian Far East who lived immediately north of the Kamchatka Peninsula and Kamchatka Krai and inhabit the crosslands of the Barents Sea. The cultural borders of the Koyaks include Tigris in the south and the Anyada Basin in the north. It seems that we are the ancient grandfathers of Russia as well. The Koyaks are culturally similar to the Chukchis of extreme southeast Siberia. The Koyak language and Altor, which is often regarded as a dialect of Koyak, are linguistically close to the Chukchi language. All of these languages are members of the Chukotko Kamchakan language family. They are more distantly related to the Itilmens on the Kamchatka Peninsula. All of these peoples and other unrelated minorities in and around Kamchatka are known collectively as Kamchatos. You see the mockery? The origin of the Koyak is unknown. Anthropologists have speculated that a land bridge connected the Eurasian and North American continent during late Pleistocene. Scientists have suggested that people traveling back and forth between the area and Hayategua before the Ice Age receded. They theorized that the ancestors of the Koyak had returned to Siberian Asia and North America during this time. All right. So we have established who's the oldest. We have established who's the landlord. Scientifically, by blood. And until you show me someone that can refute the blood, it will stand as law. Okay. Caucasian, a major component of ancestry of modern inhabitants of Caucasus, Iran, and northern Indian. It was derived from genomes of Mesolithic Caucasian hunter-gatherers. A major ancestral component linked to CHG has carried west and east by migrating herders from the Eurasian steppe. All right. So albinos, now you know who's your daddy. Honor your fathers and your mothers that your days may be long upon the earth. East African, a very diluted component being inherited sufficiently from ancient inhabitants in Ethiopia and African Horn. All right. Selassie. Northeast European, a fancy moniker for a dominant type of ancestry in northeastern Europe based on older type of ancestry. European hunter-gatherer. Today this type of ancestry peaks in the Baltic region and Scandinavia. Near East, a component harbored and later carried by ancient populations of Near East. In our time, it reaches the maximum among Bedouins and Saudi Arabians. The component seems to carry an excess of Eurasian bacille. Component relative to Neolithic component. Neolithic, a component modeled on genomes of first Neolithic farmers of Anatolia, West Asia. These farmers from West Asia migrated to Europe during the Neolithic and carried this component with them. North African, a local component of ancestry found in North Africans. This local North African genetic component is very different from the one found in the populations in the south of the Sahara. Oceanic, a component of Aboriginal ancestry assigned to Aborigines of Melanesia and Papua New Guinea. Siberian, a component which is roughly ascribed to Central Siberian, found at highest frequency in Nagasan. Southeast Asian, a dominant component of Southeast Asians, being highest among the Dao, Cambodians, Lahu, and Malay. This is the most East Asian component among South Asians. Sub-Saharan, a main component of ancestry seen in Yoruba, Mandinka, and Luwia populations. All right. So let's go look at run a different test. And this is going to take a while because this is only results from one company. And in order to be completely thorough, I plan to get results from at least 2 or 3 of these companies. And compare them and study and go deeper into them and trace my lineage and my ancestry for the record. Islam, peace and love. Let me see if there's anything else. Let's see. I'll do another one. It's a long list. Let's try this one. Okay. Ancestral North Eurasian Upper Paleolithic genomes from the Lake Baikal region of Siberia, identified as Malta ʻAnTHrəːpäləjē II and ʻAnTHrəːpäləjē III, dated to 17 to 24 KYA when mammoths roamed the area. Ancestral South Eurasian, the component is maximized in the Andamanese and Australian Aboriginals. These Eastern non-Africans are believed to have split from out of African populations over 50 KYA, and some related populations are believed to have played a role in the ethnogenesis of South Asians. The component is maximized in groups such as the Han and Dao. Natufian, this is an epipaleolithic culture that existed from 12,500 to 9,500 BC in the area of Israel. They were derived about 50% from an original out-of-Africa population, referred to as Basal Eurasians. If you are a European and show Natufian admixture, this does not imply that Natufians interacted with your ancestors. All it means is that Natufian-like admixture was mediated to you via intermediaries, such as the early European farmers from the Near East. Western European hunter-gatherers. This component maximizes in ancient samples known as Villabruna, Labrana, Bichon, Lashpur, and Hungarian K01, and was also collectively referred to as WHG. All right, so let's look some of these up. Villabruna. Okay, Villabruna. I got 2. Let's look at this one. Steppe ancestry. Kavansik, Hledistog, Repen, Yamna, Koritwer, Aryan, Caucasus, Near East, Levant, Dzundana, Anatolia, North Pontic, Volga, Ural, Caucasus, Mesolithic, Eastern non-Africans. Obviously a game changer in many aspects. I have already written about the upcoming Yamna Hungary samples, about the steppe Neolithic and Caucasus Neolithic keystones, and about the upcoming Greece Neolithic samples with steppe ancestry. An interesting aspect of the paper, hidden among so many relevant details, is a clearer picture of how the so-called Yamna or steppe ancestry evolved from Samara hunter-gatherers to Yamna nomadic pastoralists, and how this ancestry appeared among proto-corded ware populations. All right, so now the Asians, you know who's your daddy. Honor your fathers and your mothers, that your days may be long upon the earth. Various African populations, such as Yoruba and Isan, were used to source the allelic frequencies for this component. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's do another one. Well, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing my studies and my research. I challenge you to do the same, beloved. Remember, during the next week or so, that the energy of the planets may feel overwhelming. All right. So I want you to go and find you some candles. All right. Before you light the candle, inside of the candle or on the side of the candle, write the words perfect harmony, and light the candle and let it burn. All right. And place it either in the north or the east wall of your home, and let it burn, and let there be peace and harmony as this energy passes. All right. And use the energy to sharpen yourself, because iron sharpens iron. So if such an energy, when it comes around, it has its purpose. All right. So be aware of the malefic planets and the energies. All right. Perfect your claims. Trace your ancestry so that it will be on the record, for the record. Okay. All right. And with that, life forever.